Hey everybody, it's Scott. We're going to try an epic adventure. We're going to fill this ship with it's a Cobra, with as much rare commodities as I can find, and then fly it a long way away and see what kind of enormous haul I can make. So the challenge here is obviously collect as much stuff efficiently as possible using some tools that I find indisposable. Not get blown up by people wanting my goodies, and then make it to our destination. So let's talk about what I have. First of all, configured here so that everyone sees what I've got for a ship. It's a Cobra Mark III. It's been outfitted fairly well. I've been flying it for a while now. So I have two pulse lasers on this, a cannon, a fragment cannon, point defense, and the kill warrant scanner. So if we were out bounty hunting, obviously these things are critical. So I'll go through this. The kill warrant scanner. If you scan someone, wanted or unwanted, if you scan someone, they may not be wanted in the system you're currently in, so they'll be marked as clean, but they may not be clean. So the kill warrant scanner gives you information about that individual in all systems. So if you find someone wanted, they may be wanted in more than one system. This is a very valuable way to collect multiple bounties on a single kill. So I highly recommend it. The more expensive scanner allows you to scan at a farther range. It doesn't increase the bounties offered. It's simply you don't have to get right up in their face in order to figure out what it is that's needed. The point defense will send out anti-missile things. So if someone shoots missiles at you, the point defense is turreted, so you don't have to fire it. It's automatic. Nice to have kind of thing, especially on one of these little turrets, or utility mounts I should say, that you don't really have a thing to put in there. The fragment cannon and the cannon are two different mass damage weapons. They do primarily hull damage, so they're not very good against shields, or they're okay against shields, but they're amazing against hulls. The fragment cannon is kind of spray and pray. It looks like it's shot, gravel more or less. It does a lot of damage. But you got to be pretty close. Cannon is a gimbaled cannon, which is not my preference. The gimbaled varieties tend to be less damage, but obviously you don't have to aim them, or aim them as much, I should say. So you could say your hit chances go up significantly, but the damage per hit drops significantly. So if you are good at aiming, then you don't want the gimbaled variety, you want the fixed variety. Some things are only available as fixed. Example, this fragment cannon is not available as a gimbaled fragment cannon. There are also some turreted versions of these. So when you get into larger ships like Anacondas, where you've got a whole bunch of lasers on top and you're wondering how is that person shooting in 18 different directions at once, it's because they're turreted versions, and they're automatic turreted versions are aimed by your computers on board. And then I have two gimbaled pulse lasers, which are pretty standard. So this is just if we get into a battle. My plan is to not have to fire these up at all and just fly and live free and be happy. But we'll see how that goes. For internals and bulkheads, I don't have any upgraded bulkheads. I'd really like to upgrade these, but they're not available at the station, and they're very expensive. They're also very heavy, and I want to try and get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. So I'm looking at my jump range. So laden, we're at 16 light years. I'm laden at 18 light years. That's a good size jump. So I don't really want giant bulkheads on this thing. Power plant's been upgraded. Obviously that's the amount of energy your ship is capable of producing. Right now I produce 13 megawatts. Thrusters have been upgraded. They're pretty decent now. The next step up is very expensive and doesn't really buy me that much, so I'm pretty happy where they are now. Also, remember, as you upgrade, things get heavier, and right now nimbleness is a priority. Frame shift drive is the second best one I can fit. So the A4 is over 1 million credits, and I don't know that it's worth the bang for the buck there, but it would give me probably another 2.5 light year jump, so over 20 unladen. Life support, again, upgrade it just because the next version, typically the next upgrade of most components weighs less than the first one, so it's kind of like better technology, smaller package type of deal, and those are typically fairly affordable. So I think upgrading almost all your modules one step is worthwhile just for the mass reduction. So again, that's pretty typical if you look at most things. Let's say you start with an E3 and you just step up one to the D3, it's going to weigh less and be a little bit better. then the next step up, say C3, is going to be a lot heavier but a lot better type of thing. So I just think one step up is decent. Power coupling is the max I can buy. Or power distribution, I should say. That this is the thing that takes the energy from the power plant and gives you that recharge for your systems, your engines, and your weapons, those ticks, and how fast they recharge. This is critical. This is a component you want to get upgraded as soon as possible, and I say take it all the way to as much as you can afford. It wasn't tremendously expensive at the top end anyway, so because it's a size 3 component. Sensors, again, better sensors give you better distance. If you're not in somebody's face, that's always a good thing. Fuel tank. This is one that's can be argued. Now, I started with this capacity 16 and I haven't touched it. A capacity 8 weighs significantly less, but I have a fuel scoop on this, so I could actually drop this down, weigh a lot less, but have to be reliant on scooping fuel. I won't, I could probably make 160 light years of travel with a 16 capacity tank, which is completely unnecessary. I mean, I can stop and I can fuel up, get some snacks on the road, do things like that. I can do that with a capacity 8 tank and way less. So this is an area of possible improvement by downgrading. 2 cargo racks, just because we're going to carry as much as we within reason, as much as we can. Shield generator, obviously upgraded that. Shield cell banks, these are huge in the Cobra in my opinion. So the Cobra doesn't have as good a shields as say the Viper or some other ships that just have, I think, better shields, more powerful shields. So the shield cell bank is an item you bind to a fire group. So I have it bound to yet another fire group, and that when your shields are almost gone, it can't be completely gone, by the way. If your shields are gone, shield cell bank does nothing. So if your shields are almost gone, you use this, it brings them back. Depending on the size and class of the shield cell bank, you can recharge them all the way to full. So that's what this one does. And it has, I believe, 2 charges. So can save your butt. You're basically getting 3 shields for the price of 1. So pretty decent. And the internal compartment here with the 2 can only give me a cargo rack of 4. So the way it starts is a class 1 gives you 2, 2 gives you 4, 4 gives you 8, so on and so forth. So, I mean, they double every time. So, a 2, 4, 8, and then 16. So that's why the class 4 cargo rack is there. So with an A2, the biggest one I could ever get would be a 4 cargo compartment, and I don't think that's worth it. Again, I'm trying to be a little less mass, and crappy shields equals shields on banks. Again, these are, I think, great investments in any machine. Fuel scoop. Love my fuel scoop. So this one's been upgraded several times. It just makes it easier to scoop. It scoops faster. You used to be able to configure more than one scoop on a ship. I don't know if that's still allowed or not. I know for a while it was breaking ships where you actually had to sell the whole ship and rebuy the whole ship because there was a bug. I believe that's probably been resolved by now, but I don't know if having 2 scoops actually does anything additional. It's not that big of a deal to scoop. You just get into an orbit around a star and spend 30 seconds and refill your tank. It's just not, a huge deal. The difference between 30 seconds to 45 seconds to me is not worth, a couple 100,000 credits. So B2 is where we'll sit. And the basic discovery scanner. I did not upgrade this. I did for a while have the advanced discovery scanner, and it was, actually the intermediate one. It was pretty cool because it gave you a much larger radius of discovery. So when you fired that, and if you're not familiar with how to use this, I made a previous video on using the discovery scanner that's pretty intensive. So that's got all about how to use it and so on. But its range is not great, and I don't know what the range is, but man, that intermediate one was, well, 500,000 credits, but it gave such a better reach. But then you come into that argument of bang for the buck. Does the 500,000 credits mean you're going to get that much more from credit graphics if you have the better scanner? And right now, I don't think that's probably what's going on. So I'm opting out of that. Okay, I am starting my adventure here in the lovely Chanel port, or you say it. Isn't it? Just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? And this is an interesting. This is the DSO system. I wish, by the way, that the system name was somewhere on these screens. It's not, and I find that a little frustrating. Maybe I'm the only one doing it. So DSO is interesting because you see this yellow DSO Ma corn item here is a rare, and I've talked about rares in other videos. This is one of the first places that I like to start with rares, because there are a bunch of rares in a cluster. So if we look at the galactic map, Lave has rares, Lesty has 2 rares, Zounce has rares, and a couple of these other ones do too, but I think Orior does as well. But I know Diso does, so we're going to start there, and we're going to fly to Lesty right away and pick up all that. So we might be making a dumb path here, meaning I might get over here and then have to go over there again, but you know, I'm alright with that. It's just I'm not planning my route today right in this because there's so many so close together, and I'm being a little lazy about it. It's one jump. If I have to do it, I'm not overly concerned. So we're going to fly to Lesty. Now, because we're flying there, we could actually fire up our BPC tool. So actually, let me pause the game here and I'll fire that up because it takes a bit. Okay, that took a while. It always does, but that's alright. So this is the Slopey BPC tool. So best price commodity. So we can do current. So it shows in the DSO and why is it not showing my station? Well, we're gonna go to Lave, search. Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me pick these stations, but we're not going to the. We're going to the. Oh, we're going to Lesty. That's right. Or Leasty, I should say. And there's all the misspellings that everyone puts in there because they're not checking their work. Okay. So from DSO to Leasty, George Lucas Station, looks like Fish is the winner. With a profit of 395 per unit. So, knowing that, we're going to Leasty. We'll go get some fish. Obviously, every time you trade, this may not be obvious or not, actually. Every time you trade, you're increasing your notoriety with that faction that's in charge. So you're helping them, they're helping you, kind of thing. So trading is a good thing with the factions you're trying to get to know better. Okay, so let's get on the road now. We got that all good. We're fueled up. One other thing I'd like to check, though, is the bulletin board to see if there's any courier missions to Leasty. If there are, that would be just awesome. So, it doesn't look like... This is, yeah, no, we're not doing that one. Any of these really high-end, these are going to be anacondas, probably elite anacondas or pirate lords. Those are going to be problematic for most players. And I don't know that it's worth risk to the ship. You know, so if my ship gets blown up now, it's the cost of the goodies I have in it, which is not significant at this point. It'll become very significant later as we get farther and farther from the point of origin for rares. But the ship itself is probably worth 70,000 in insurance, which I would not care to play with. So.
Ship released. Engines engaged. Landing gear retracted.
Remember, go through the green side. Oop. I'm drunk this morning, apparently. You want to go through the green side? That's the outgoing side, or the side you should be flying into, I should say. And you see it's opposite on the other side. So always fly into the green side, and if everyone does that, then we run into each other. Should be a quick trip. I don't talk about interdictions much, but if we do get interdicted, there's a couple of methods for trying to avoid being interdicted. First of all, don't let ships get behind you. So just watch your scanner. That's the first and foremost. If it looks like it's imminent, you can always double tap your hyperdrive to drop out of Super Cruise, and that will obviously put you in a location where they're going to fly past you. Then you just need to re-aim at another system and get out of there before they drop in, scan your wake, and then follow you. By the way, always throttle back when you're in hyperspace here because you don't want to slam into the sun. How many of us have been greeted by that? Wow, it was nicely laggy there, wasn't it? Been greeted by that sun to the face as you come out. And I tend to head straight up. I don't want to stay in the plane of the planets, as that's where you're going to get interdicted. So where I am now is a bad spot. I basically don't want to be in the plane. So I'm heading it down about 45 degrees. I don't have my mouse look enabled in this. Do I? No. Wow, it's all over the place. Because I have a head tracker and I don't have it on when I make videos because I don't want people to get ill. So I'm heading down about 45 degrees and then I'm just going to head straight up at it. So the way I need to do that is I was watching my little radar there to the left of the main radar. And when the dot was at the top, I knew that it was a good time to turn up. Not to say that it won't get interdicted, but it seems like the chances are less this way. Also, keep your speed somewhat high. If you're slow when you're interdicted, that's makes it much more difficult, if not impossible, to reach the escape vector you need to get out of the interdiction. So if you're cruising along slowly, your chance of interdiction is much higher. Obviously, you know that if you've interdicted people, it's easier to catch them when they're approaching their planets than in the middle of nowhere, because they're traveling so much faster. I started to wonder if the stations with significant names, obviously George Lucas, Star Wars, but there's one other one, Zounce, has a Ridley Scott station, so that's the Alien director. That one has leathery eggs. So I was starting to kind of piece together, I'm like, is there a rhyme or reason to the way they've done this? Okay, so these stations are really annoying. Target them, and then look at the 3D representation of the thing on the left-hand side of your radar there. You can see the arrows point down. That's where the door is. It's always a counterclockwise rotation, but just annoying to try and figure it out every time. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm, again, heading down, because I'm not looking up at the station. I'm watching my middle radar, and I'm waiting until it's right on top of me. Now that it is, I can slow down before I was docking, which I could have done a while ago. And now if we look straight up, it should be right there. You can use that as a way to get into the station if you're, I guess, trying to pirate in. You want to be quick about it. There's ways to kind of aim yourself so you know where you're going to end up, and then you can just, like a bat out of hell, boost to the station window, or get as close as you can to avoid being scanned. In this case, we don't care. We're nice little legal people here. We're not doing anything wrong.
Landing gear deployed.
I tell my adventures with the auto docking computer thing was so annoying. Especially at platforms. It's very bugged right now, and it just kind of got confused as hell. And it's slow. I mean, I can land this thing so much faster. We'd still be listening to pretty music and circling outside waiting for our turn. Commodity market. Okay, as I mentioned, there are two rears here, but the first thing we need to do is sell some fish. Okay. Fish sold. Okay, so we have azure milk, blue milk, delicious blue milk, and evil juice. Now, I'm not sure. Let me check something here real quick. Then I'll show you what I'm doing. This is the Elite Trading Tool, Threads tool, as it's called, which I really like for telling you the distance from things to, where you got to go and so on. This is what I'm using to kind of guide myself to what we're going to get next. So we're going to get these, now we're going to go to Lave and pick up some brandy. So just so you know there is a rhyme or reason to what it is that we're going to be doing. So I think we're going to wait here because there'll be one more tick or so. A tick is every 10 minutes, refreshes the commodity market, and I believe we get more evil juice and more blue milk, azure milk, I should say. 4 is, I don't believe 4 is our maximum. There's only a certain amount per commander as of a recent patch, so we'll have to deal with that. But I believe we actually get a couple ticks of stuff here. So we'll check that out the next time we pick up this episode of, I don't know, what do I want to call this series? Is this the egregious rare belly full of goodies traveling as far as we can without dying contest? I'm not sure. I'll have to come up with a cute name for it. But until next time, be careful and make lots of cash and tell me about your adventures.